my name is Tiara Dhamayanti.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Azizah Putri.
Hello, my name is Jihan Suci Rahmawati.
Hello everyone, my name is Silviya Dani.
Happy watching!
Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're all doing great and ready for our English lesson. Today we are going to learn something fun and interesting. Our topic for today is descriptive text learning from the story of Cinderella. Before we start, let's watch a short video about Cinderella. While watching, please pay attention to how the story describes the character, the setting, and other details. Ready? Let's watch together!
Once upon a time, a girl named Cinderella lived with her stepmother and two mean stepsisters. They made Cinderella clean and cook all day for them, leaving no time for Cinderella for herself. One day, the king and queen of their village announced a grand ball for all the young ladies to attend. It was time for their son, the prince, to find a bride. Cinderella had to help make dresses for her mean stepsisters. She had no time to make a dress for herself. She worked hard on the dresses for her stepsisters, and they just made fun of her. "Hurry up," said the stepmother. "I am trying very hard," said Cinderella, "as I want to get my dress started too." The stepsisters laughed and said, "Imagine Cinderella at the ball in her torn, raggedy dress." Cinderella just kept working to finish the stepsisters' dresses. On the night of the grand ball, a fine carriage picked up the stepsisters and stepmother, but left Cinderella behind to do her chores. Cinderella had no dress anyway. She had no time left after making the stepsisters' dresses to make her own. She waved goodbye and said aloud, "I wish I could go to the ball." Then, poof! All of a sudden, a fairy godmother appeared. Cinderella could not believe her eyes. "Who are you?" said Cinderella. "Well, I am your fairy godmother, and I will grant your wish to go to the ball." "But what will I wear?" said Cinderella, "and how could I ever get there?" Then, poof! With a touch of her magic wand on Cinderella's head, Cinderella was dressed in the finest ball gown and special glass slippers that fit only her. Cinderella looked at herself and could not believe it. "But how will I ever get there?" said Cinderella. And then, poof! With the touch of her magic wand, the most beautiful carriage was waiting to take Cinderella to the ball. "Have a wonderful time," said the fairy godmother. "But remember, Cinderella, at midnight, everything goes back to the way it was before." Cinderella promised her fairy godmother she would leave the ball by midnight. Cinderella went off to the ball. She met the prince and they danced all night. They danced, and they were having such a great time that Cinderella did not notice the time was slipping away. Dong! The clock rang. It was going to be midnight. Dong! Cinderella had to leave. The prince begged her to stay. She ran up the ballroom stairs, and one of her glass slippers fell off her foot. "Please stay," said the prince. "We have just met." "Goodbye," she said, as she waved to the prince, and she slipped into her carriage and was whisked away. The prince was left standing on the ballroom stairs, holding Cinderella's glass slipper that had fallen off her foot. The prince knew he must find her, by matching the glass slipper to the fair maiden Cinderella who fit that special shoe. The next day he visited all the fair maidens and finally found Cinderella who fit the glass slipper perfectly. Her stepmother could not believe it. "How can this be?" said the stepmother. "I can't believe this," said one stepsister. "Cinderella fits the slipper?" said the other stepsister. The prince knew he had found his bride. Cinderella pulled the other glass slipper from her pocket. He said, "Come with me to live in my castle, my future bride." The prince and Cinderella had the most beautiful wedding in the whole land, and they lived happily ever after.
Wow, that was such a wonderful story, isn't it? Now, after watching the story of Cinderella, let's start our lesson. In today's learning objective, you guys are being able to identify the structure of a descriptive text correctly through the story, and then you're being able to write simple descriptive sentences about a character from the story using your own word. Okay, now let's move on to our first material.
Now, let's dive into the material. What is descriptive text? Descriptive text is a text that describes a person, an animal, a place, or a thing in detail so the reader can imagine it clearly. Next is the structure of descriptive text. The structure divides into two main parts: identification and description. First, identification. Introduce the person, place, or thing that will be described. For the example, Cinderella is a young girl who lives with her stepmother and stepsisters. It shows who the story is about. The second, description. Explain the characteristic of a person, place, thing, or animal such as appearance, personality, habits, or special features. For example, she is kind, passionate, and beautiful. She has long blonde hair and blue eyes, and she always wears simple clothes. If you want to describe a place, you can describe like this. For the example from the story, we want to describe a palace. Palace is a big and shining place, full of lights and music. In the next material, we are going to explain about language features in descriptive text.
Now, let's talk about language feature in descriptive text. What is language feature? Language feature are grammatical tools that make our description sound clear and natural. Let's look at some of them one by one. First, we got nouns and pronouns. Nouns are the names of people, place, or thing. For example, Cinderella, prince, dress, castle. Pronouns replace nouns like she, her, he, they. For example, Cinderella is kind. Here, Cinderella is a noun, is the verb to be, and kind is an adjective. Okay, next we have to be. We use to be like is, am, or are to connect the subject with the description, such as an adjective or a noun. For example, she is kind. Here, she is the pronoun, is to be, and kind is the adjective describing her. Next is adjective. Adjective tell us what someone or something is like. They describe appearance, personality, or quality. For example, the prince is tall and smart. The words tall and smart are adjectives describing the prince. And the last one is simple present tense. We use the simple present tense to describe facts or things that are always true. For example, she has long hair.
The word has is a verb in the simple present tense. It shows a fact about her appearance. She has a long hair.
Okay everyone, since you are already learning about language features, now we are going to move on to our first assessment. In this assessment, you will answer multiple choice questions. The questions are about describing characters and place from the movie Cinderella. You just need to choose the correct answer A, B, C, or D. But before you start answering, let's look at some example questions first so you can understand how it works. First question. Which word best describes the stepmother in Cinderella? A. Kind. B. Mean. C. Polite. D. Honest. 3, 2, 1. The answer is B. Mean. Question number 2. Which sentence describes the picture? A. The prince is an old man. B. The prince is short and lazy. C. The prince has a red hat. D. The prince is tall and handsome. 3, 2, 1. The answer is D. The prince is tall and handsome. Third question. Which sentence use adjective to describe Cinderella? A. Cinderella is kind and beautiful girl. B. Cinderella cleaned the house yesterday. C. Cinderella will go to the party tomorrow. D. Cinderella is crying right now. 3, 2, 1. The answer is A. Cinderella is kind and beautiful girl. Alright, those were just example question, okay? Now tell me, do you understand the example? Good. So, here's the barcode. You can scan to open your own test. There you will answer 10 multiple choice questions about describing people and place in Cinderella. Make sure you read each question carefully and choose the best answer. Good luck everyone!
Now we move to assessment 2. In this task, you will write 3 to 5 descriptive sentences. You can choose 3 from the following categories. First, character. You can choose Cinderella, prince, stepmother, and stepsister or fairy godmother. Second, object. You can choose the shoes, Cinderella dress, or the other object. Third, setting or place. You can choose the castle, Cinderella's house, Cinderella's room, and the ballroom. And then, after writing your sentences, you must identify which sentence is the identification and which one are the descriptions. I will give you some example. Cinderella is a kind and beautiful girl. She has long blonde hair and blue eyes. Now let's analyze it. The first sentence is the identification. It tells us who she is, that Cinderella is a kind and beautiful girl. The next sentences are the descriptions. They tell us more details about her appearance and personality. For example, Cinderella has long blonde hair and blue eyes. Now it's your turn. Good luck!
Alright everyone, before we end today's lesson, let's take a moment to review what we learned today. Today we're talking about descriptive text, a type of text that describes a person, place, or a thing in detail. We learned that a descriptive text has 2 main parts. The identification, which introduces who or what we are describing, and the description, which give detail about what they look like, what they do, or what their personality is like. Then, we also discussed the language feature used in the descriptive text. They include the simple present tense because we describe things as they are in general. Adjective to show someone's quality or appearance. Noun and pronoun to name and refer to people or things. And of course, the use of to be like is, am, are to connect description together. That's all for today's class. You did an amazing job. Keep practicing writing and speaking using descriptive sentences. And soon, it will be becoming natural for you. Thank you everyone for your hard working today. See you in the next lesson.
Thank you and goodbye.